Hello and welcome to the Techpedition Podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here with my brother Clarence. How are you, sir?
Doing great, man. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. Just playing some Xbox.
What? I thought you were for the PC Master Race. I can't believe you're playing an Xbox, man.
Yeah, I was, well, as you know, I was home this past week and I got to play some Call of Duty 4 or Call of Duty Black Ops 4 with my nephews, and I fell in love with the game, and I was like, I'm gonna have to get this, and I could have got it for PC, and it would have been superior in every way, but I wanted to be able to play with my nephews, so I got another Xbox.
Oh man, just jump right back in there.
There's a huge deal. So I got the One X Plus, and it was the NBA 2K19 bundle. Came with a code for that, and and also if you bought Red Dead Redemption 2 with it, you got both of them for $100 off. So I got Red Dead and 2K19 for like, I think it was $450 or something like that. So it was 2 games and the One X. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute. So how long has it been since you've been on the console bandwagon?
I think it's been about a year since I had a console, if not more. It's been quite a while.
But you didn't have the X before, though, right?
No, I just had a regular X. Actually, the Gen 1 first version Xbox One, the fat boy.
So what do you think of the differences?
Well, I mean, I love it. To be blunt, I have a 4K TV in my room now. It sits just above my monitor. I use it as a secondary monitor sometimes. But the cool thing is, like, it looks beautiful. Yeah, I can play my 4K Blu-rays, which I think it's still crazy that you can't play 4K Blu-rays on a PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
But you can on the Xbox. But that's neither here nor there. I'm really surprised how well some of these games run. Like Call of Duty in 4K runs great. I mean, it's got to be, if it's not 60 frames a second, it's pretty dang close. Mm-hmm. And it's luckily the TV I got it on, like, it was a floor model that they were clearing out in Walmart. I got it for like half the price, but it's luckily all inputs are 60 hertz and 4K 60 hertz, so it runs it great. I really don't have any complaints. I was really worried about like games not running as well. The only game that I've noticed that doesn't really take advantage of the X that I play a lot is Rocket League, and that's just because I don't think they ever went back and enhanced it for the One X. So like the PC version, it's really hard playing the console version of that after been playing a PC version for so long. But other than that, I mean, I'm really, really enjoying it.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, yeah, glad you came back to the good side. No, I'm playing. PCs are great.
And my hard drive's almost full already. The 1 terabyte. So I'm probably going to buy me a Western Digital My Passport or that Seagate Xbox branded 4 terabyte drive.
Yeah, I think that's the one I have. Like, I download everything and don't even really think about it. Now, I've noticed in the last, month or so that the space has been kind of low. But I usually just, like,
so
anytime
you have a 4 terabyte one?
Yeah, I got a 4 terabyte one. Yeah.
Cool.
So I pretty much just get everything as soon as it comes out. And stuff that I never play, but still, I will download it at least.
Now, do you know if it can handle a size bigger than 4 terabytes?
I want to say 4 terabyte is the limit, but I don't know that for sure.
I'll have to look it up because I might get one bigger than that.
Yeah, being on fiber and all up there.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's still. I don't know if it's my Ethernet. I might not be using the gigabit Ethernet cable for the Xbox, but for some reason, it's just not. It downloads pretty fast, but it doesn't download nearly as fast as my PC. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to look and see if I'm using a gigabit Ethernet cable. Oh, wow. For future reference, the space limit on the Xbox is 16 terabytes.
Oh, good Lord.
So, yeah, I'm not hitting that anytime soon. I was thinking about getting a 6 or an 8, but 16, Jesus.
Are there that many games? I'm sure there are.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you could fill it. Well, yeah, I'm sure you could fill it up.
Cool, man. So, well, do you want to just take that and dive on into some gaming news that we have that has come out over the last few weeks?
Yes, let's do it.
So we know the PS1 Classic is coming out, and we finally got a game list for that. So I guess I'll just run through a few real quick. Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy 7, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligence Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, Twisted Metal. There's a lot more here, but I'm just trying to go over the ones I think are semi-notable.
You didn't mention Ballerina to Shinden, man. How dare you?
Well, I've never played that, so that's why.
You've never played Ballerina to Shinden? It was one of the first 3D fighters with weapons.
I have not.
Preceded Soul Edge and Soul Calibur, I believe. Well, Soul Edge was the first.
Oh, really?
The first Soul Calibur type game was, I think, called Soul Edge or Soul Blade or something like that. But Shinden was like a PS1 launch title, and it was awesome.
Sweet. So I don't know if I ever asked you, are you planning on getting this thing?
Well, I still have a PS1 that I bought. I didn't have one. I didn't have one when they came out. But like 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe even more than that, like I bought one for like $20 at like a pawn shop or something. I can't even remember where I bought it from. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've had that forever. And I mean, the thing is, between that and my Saturn, there are ways that have come out to play backups without actually having to mod the console. So, I mean, that being said, I'm definitely probably not going to get this simply because of the fact that these games definitely didn't age as well as the SNES stuff did. Some of them look downright horrible. Yeah. And the fact that, I mean, it's just like the emulation is just so good now, man. Like I can play PlayStation games on my SNES Classic. There's also the PSXE, which is like the quintessential PC PlayStation 1 emulator. That will not only play all of these games, but you can also play them at higher resolutions, and add effects and stuff. And it's just like, and yeah. I mean, there's ZSNES too, comparables for the SNES Classic, but it's just like, I just don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't think I am. Yeah, so especially since I already have the old one. So
yeah. Well, it releases on December 3rd for $99.
That's not bad.
Stocking stuffer.
It's really not bad considering the SNES Classic's $80. So I mean, that's actually a really good price for what you're getting. I would say, for more powerful hardware, but they're probably running off the same ARM chip. So it's probably the exact same hardware in a different casing with PlayStation controllers. I digress.
Yeah, Mark is taking the side of emulators as well. Our friend Mark Wells in the chat. So emulators FTW, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like it's just so easy now. Like, this is going to make me sound horrible, but there is a silver lining here. So there is a PS3 emulator called, what is it called? I have it on my machine. Okay, so here's the dilemma. I've been for quite a few months been wanting to buy a PlayStation 4. And the main reason I wanted to buy a PlayStation 4 was Persona 5. So Persona 5 and Disgaea 5 were the two games that I've been wanting to play and I can't. So I was just trying to, at first I thought I might have even been buying a PS4 this past weekend. But I discovered RPCS3. It is a PlayStation 3 emulator. And it runs pretty well, which I have an 8-core 16-thread CPU with 16 gigs of RAM and a 1080 Ti. So I don't know if it scales, but for my system it runs very well. I was able to buy Persona 3 PS3 for $20, and So I can play that on the simulator. I don't have to buy PS4. And also, this Gaia 5 this past week came out on Steam, and it's on sale for $30. So I no longer have reason to buy PS4 because I don't really care about Spider-Man.
So blaspheme.
I just don't. I mean, he's cool and all, but he's not worth me buying a console for.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'm pretty sure that title pushed a lot of sales in the past month or so. So I don't know. I want to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play it. I'm not going to buy a console for it, though. Mark. I knew it was called Soul Calibur, but there was a preceding game that Namco released before Soul Calibur for PlayStation 1, and I believe it was called
Soul Blade.
Hang on, just let me look. Yeah, Soul Blade or Soul Edge or something like that. Because I remember playing it. I think a Japanese version is called Soul Edge, internationally it was called Soul Blade. But I mean, it's the same characters. You got Taki Voldo. It's like all those people. But when they moved it to Dreamcast, they changed the name to Soul Calibur, which is probably a good move. Soul Calibur was one of the best Dreamcast games. And I mean, for its time, it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and of course, we had the newest Soul Calibur that just came out. And if you want to see a rambunctious bunch playing that game, I would suggest you go over to our friends Dice Junkies Twitch or YouTube page and check out where Mark had a party of sorts where it was just all Soul Calibur all the time. It was a fun event, even though I only played once. It sucked.
So how is it? How is Soul Calibur 6, by the way?
You know what? I don't really know how to gauge it because I was never just a huge Soul Calibur fan back in the day. I had fun with it. It was fun watching other people play. Just the matchups between the different characters. And it's always fun to see, people be in the same room to see them go back and forth. But I think it's very good. The whole skinning part of it is kind of taken off. And,
the virtual cosplay thing.
Yeah, and there's some weird machinations that have come out of that. But I
saw somebody build Zoidberg in
oh god
from Futurama and Soul Calibur 6. So
yeah, there's been some Kirby's and all kind of crazy stuff. So I don't know. Seems pretty cool that they went that direction.
I'll have to check that out. I wonder if there's a demo or something. I'll have to check it out. I haven't played Soul Calibur since I think 3.
Yeah, that was the first time I played it forever.
It's been a minute. But Mitsurugi's probably still the man, so I'll have that to look forward to. Moving on.
Yeah, man. We can, real quick before we talk about the Apple stuff, which I know we want to get to, I just want to mention real quick, I don't know if you do ride sharing, but Uber announced a subscription service, which we talked about. I think it was a Lyft subscription service.
Yeah, we talked about the Lyft one.
That was like $300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the price of a car.
So this one is not really about, paying an all-encompassing price to get free rides or get, rides for a certain amount of time. This is about you pay $15 a month, and instead of having surge pricing, which if you don't know, if you do Lyft or Uber during certain times of the day, the pricing can jump from, $10 to maybe $25 for the same ride, in the surge hours. So what this does, if you pay $15 a month, it ensures you a flat rate for the entire time. So, if you're a heavy Uber person, I think it's a pretty good deal to know that you're not going to be gouged for certain events or anything that are happening in your area during a certain time. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just think the whole $300 thing was so ridiculous.
Yeah, that was crazy. Nobody's going to do that. That was just ridiculous.
You can lease a Honda Civic Sport for less than that.
Yeah. And, I guess we can move on to another story. I guess let's not bury the lead here. Let's go ahead and talk about Apple.
Sure. Let's talk about Apple.
So let me ask you, sir, is there anything in particular that came out of the Apple event that tickled your fancy?
Well, I mean, I will say not really, simply because...
Dude, you're like Apple drone. Nothing tickled your fancy.
This is the thing. Like, the iPhone announcement, I wasn't even hype about that, if you remember, because I have an iPhone 10, and this one's just not that much better. The new ones just aren't that much better than the one I have. One of them's actually a repackage.
Yeah.
They actually discontinued the original iPhone 10.
Which is not that much better.
I don't even know if you can buy it new anymore. You definitely can't from Apple. So I don't know. This just seems like more of the same. I mean, the new iPad Pro is cool though. I'm not gonna say that. I like the slim bezels. I like that it has USB-C, which is amazing.
Yeah,
that they finally caved on that. But I don't know. Like,
well, slim bezels. You mentioned USB-C. You can hook your cameras, and they haven't gave a full list of devices, but is mainly focused toward adding your high-powered camera, hook it up to this device, and pull the pictures over. That's the main point of it, but they haven't really given a complete list, a comprehensive list of everything that's going to be allowed to hook into it. But, the absence of the home button, so it's all Face ID all the time, which, that's a huge thing.
Oh, don't even get me started on Face
I mean, but look at what it allowed them to do.
It works. It works, man. Like, I hate on it, but it's fine. It works.
I mean, but allow them to get that small form factor, which just looks beautiful. And actually, in my opinion, it looks a lot like the Surface now. It does have
it does look a lot like the Surface.
The all black bezel. Yeah. The only thing go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, like, the other reason I'm not really that pumped about this is because in anticipation for this event, most phone carriers, like, severely discounted iPad, Pros and iPad, what are they called? iPad 2018s. Mm-hmm. The new one, they don't call it iPad 5 or whatever it is. But anyway, like not too long ago, I got like iPads for like my entire family, like me, my wife, and my daughter, because her tablet was about to kill over and die. It was getting hot, which is a sign when the battery goes bad. Like, iPad. So we ended up just getting everybody tablets, and I'm completely happy with my regular one, especially since I can use the pencil on it.
Yeah.
I mean, the higher refresh screens to me are the best feature of the Pros.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just one of those things, like if you have, and this is just kind of my opinion on technology in general now, I mean, especially with what happened with NVIDIA this past couple months with the 2080 cards and 2080 Ti's that are like severely overpriced. Like if you're within a year or two of like the most recent thing, there's probably not a lot for you. I mean, unless you just have to have the newest thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you have like an iPad Air 2 or 3, or if you have an iPad Mini or something, like, or you've never had an iPad Pro and you want, like, this is an awesome upgrade.
It's time
but not
upgrade, yeah,
but not if you have one from the past year. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, our cousin Varys in the chat says that Apple doesn't really do anything innovative enough to just wow you these days, and it's all incremental. I mean, we knew this was coming. We knew they'd eventually drop the freaking home button and put Face ID on here, as well as, adding USB-C, which it looks like they're going in that direction with every device other than the iPhone. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the next iPhone.
I mean, speaking of USB-C thing, I have a MacBook Pro, right?
Yeah.
The only connector on this laptop, the only ports are 4 USB-C ports and a headphone jack. That's all. So it would make complete sense for them to move the iPhones and everything to USB-C. I mean, I don't get why the iPhone didn't come with a USB-C cable, as far as like a Lightning USB-C. Like if I want to plug my iPhone into my Mac, I have to use an adapter, which makes no sense to me. But
which is cool, because I saw one of the demos where somebody was showing that you can charge your iPhone via the iPad now that it has USB-C.
Yes.
So, a bunch of cool things. Also, they upgraded the pencil to the 2nd gen version, which is a little bit flatter. I think it has a few more buttons on it, and it also sticks to the side of the iPad a la Surface, which never really worked. But it looks like they're doing it right here. So that's pretty cool, I think. Other things, let's see here. Well, we also had some MacBook stuff.
Holy
MacBook
crap! The smart keyboard's $179.
Does that surprise you?
The Apple Pencil's $129. Like, it was $99 last year.
That shouldn't be surprising, dude.
What?
That should not be surprising.
I mean, it shouldn't be, but it's like it's just like like Apple sets you up for like Lucy holding the football for Charlie Brown. They release a more reasonable iPad, $300. They add the Apple Pencil functionality, and then they do this crap. It's like,
yeah, true.
I don't know.
What did you think about the MacBook Air news? Now, didn't you used to have a MacBook Air back in the day?
No, I had it wasn't a MacBook. It was a PowerBook G3. I had a Mac laptop when they were still Power PC. I think it was a PowerBook G. Was it a PowerBook G3 or a PowerBook G4? Did they do G4s?
Yeah. Well, this is
it was a PowerBook G4. That was the one I had. I had the 10-inch version.
Oh, that definitely was not Air then.
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest thing, this is the first real refresh of the MacBook Air, I want to say, since 2015, if I'm getting that stat correct. But I think the big thing here is that the MacBook Air now has a Retina display, USB-C ports. Of course, they kept the headphone jack, and it comes in at around 2.96 pounds. So there you go. And I heard that the keyboard is, well, you have the next generation of their, I forgot what do they call their new keyboard? I forgot whatever the term they're using to call that, but it is, the third generation of that. So it's kind of, slightly better than the last, MacBook Pro that came out that had it. So, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. If you're in the market for this and you obviously haven't gotten one in a while because they haven't come out with a MacBook Air in a while, I think it's time to upgrade.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They haven't released one in a while, so.
Trying to find some more stats on that. So was there anything else out of the Apple event that kind of made you raise an eyebrow? Because I don't think there's a whole lot more. I think they just
not really
like a few products.
It was just the yearly, yeah. Well, I mean, I was looking forward to iOS 12.1. I need to actually install it because I got all the alerts. They're adding like a whole bunch of new emojis. There's group FaceTime. There's a couple things that are really cool that they're adding to it.
Are you pining for 34 people FaceTime chats? Is that what you're excited about?
I wouldn't say 34, but it would be cool to have multiple people on the chat. Like, even with everybody calls all video chat FaceTime, just like everybody used to call.
Yeah. That gets on my nerves.
Like, everybody used to call all MP3 players iPods when I worked at Walmart. That got on my nerves so much. You'd be like, yeah. Do you have iPods? I'm like, no, we don't sell iPods. I see some over there on the wall. Then why are you asking me? But no, they're not iPods. They're MP3. Oh, sorry.
Like,
had a flashback.
Like, dude, we've been doing face chat on phone forever now, but now everybody thinks Apple invented it.
Yeah. You know something? What is that called when a word becomes
something like
when a word becomes a generic
Kleenex
name? Yeah, Kleenex, Pamper. I found out that dumpster is one of those words.
What?
Dumpster was trademarked by the Dempster brothers in 1963. It was originally a portmanteau of the word dump and the last name Dempster. So yeah, that was a brand name. It was not like, I don't know what they called dumpsters before.
That's what I really want to know right now. Huge trash bin is what they called it.
That was the funniest one that I've seen. Yeah. So moving on. Yeah. I'm the king of tangents. Okay, so moving on.
I don't think there's much else to say about Apple, but
Yeah. Were we going to talk about IBM and Red Hat?
Well, IBM bought Red Hat for $34 billion. Yeah. So what does it actually mean? I guess maybe you being a network administrator guy, you may know. It's
opportunistic to say the least.
Yeah.
and I'll kind of tell you how. We might have touched on this. I don't remember, but like recently, Microsoft like open sourced like a whole bunch of patents to try to help Linux, to like help Linux grow, I guess, and to keep, I can't remember exactly why they did it, but they did it to help Linux. And now IBM's buying Red Hat.
Now, isn't Red Hat is open source, correct?
Well, Red Hat Linux, the specific distribution Red Hat Linux is not free. Okay. You have to pay for it because it comes with like support contract and blah, blah, blah. Now, there's an upstream of Red Hat called Fedora Linux. Or Fedora, or whatever they call it now, Fedora or whatever. Fedora is actually one of my favorite Linux distributions. It's an upstream, so basically, it's like the bleeding edge, latest features of Red Hat Rail, or if you will, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It's like the bleeding edge, and then you have CentOS, which is like a downstream of Red Hat, with a lot of the with some features removed, but it's essentially the same. It's essentially Red Hat without the support. But Red Hat is very, very popular. I mean, popular and profitable. I mean, they paid $34 billion for this company that essentially sells open source software.
Isn't that crazy?
Support.
Yeah.
And now I feel like they're moving more. This is a sign for them to move more into open source. I see it as a sign that they're probably going to be releasing machine servers preloaded with Red Hat, if you will. And they'll probably be able to work in like support and like just have a big bundle of Red Hat goodness. I don't know, where you don't have to necessarily buy a server and then buy the Red Hat support. It just all comes together in this one flat. I'm just speculating here. I don't know, but I'm still interested to see what they're going to do with this because, so Varys says IBM bought Red Hat for the same reason Microsoft bought GitHub.
Now that one I don't understand.
I don't understand that one either. To be completely honest, like I don't know why they bought GitHub.
But you know what? Just to kind of piggyback off that, I think most people are okay with IBM buying Red Hat. But I think if Microsoft would have bought Red Hat,
dude, there'll be so many groans. It's just like the people groaning. Like most people that use Git that I know personally hate Microsoft.
Yeah,
like they do not like Microsoft. So there are lots of groans, even though GitHub isn't Git. Git is open source.
Yeah.
GitHub is like GitLab. It's an implementation of like a... Okay, so you know how you have I don't want to call it a branded repo. It's basically a website where you can host Git repos.
Yeah.
And you can have private repos, you can share repos. Microsoft actually released and this was probably a sign that they were going to buy GitHub. They released DOS, like one of the original versions of MS-DOS. They released the assembly language source code on GitHub. Wow. I took a look at that and my head exploded. It's like, I don't know how people coded back then. It's just...
Oh, I've done some assembly. It ain't fun. But, man, I think it's just... it's more so people having that big brother sentimentality with Microsoft. And it's just funny how we don't have that with IBM, because I guess IBM is not in the consciousness, or... Yeah, Valve, or
Valve is way worse than Microsoft, man. They are way worse than Microsoft.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think everybody trusts IBM. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Valve is scary, man.
So what did Valve do that was so scary?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, at one point they pretty much held like 90% of the PC gaming market.
True, but when Microsoft tries to do the same thing, people complain. When what's the Discord tries to do the same thing, people complain. So stay in your happy little Valve ecosystem over there with your Steam library and just shut up.
But no, think about it. Microsoft actually tried to do what Valve does on a console, and everybody lost their minds.
Yeah,
they tried to do the exact same thing. And everybody went willy-nilly. Valve sold boxed software that hooked up to Steam and eventually rendered those discs useless. You know, like you couldn't
Yeah.
you couldn't give someone that game the CD key and let them install it. It was locked to Steam, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I mean, IBM not as much in the consumer eye as Microsoft, which is a good point, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, going from the behemoth
Microsoft
that
they don't really make consumer PCs anymore. They sold off that to Lenovo. So that's a good point. Ver says IBM has paid a ridiculous amount for Red Hat. That's what I don't really understand. They paid, $190 this year. That's probably the only way they could get the board to approve it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea behind Red Hat and it being bought by a huge for-profit company like that, even though it was already for-profit, it's just not a good look, even for IBM, I don't think. But everybody's seemingly okay with it.
Yeah.
I feel like if Apple would have done this, or if Google would have done this, or if Amazon would have done it, people probably would have lost their minds as much as they would have with Microsoft.
Well, it's kind of like IBM is in a happy place now. I mean, Microsoft became the old IBM, and IBM kind of just floated off into, out of the consciousness of the normal people, and especially after they said they sold off their PC division. They're pretty much just like silently doing stuff in the cloud that's pretty massive, but most people don't really think about, unless you're a business solutions expert or something.
The most notable thing I can name that IBM has done, probably along with like 90% of the population of America, is probably the Watson stuff that you see in commercials.
Yeah, which they're heavy on cloud now. That's part of it. So
yeah. That's about all I know about IBM. and they make servers. They make servers, and that's all I know. So good point. Good point. So there's one more thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'll post a link in the chat for the people who are following along at home. There is a fan game coming out called Super Mario Flashback, which will undoubtedly receive a takedown DMCA notice from Nintendo. I'm just waiting for it. But it would be a crime for Nintendo not to co-opt this and fund these guys for them to release this game, because it looks amazing. Like we're talking Sonic Mania amazing. Like it's kind of a reimagining of 2D Mario, if you will, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I know you took a look at it earlier. What did you think?
I don't know how I really feel about this, because in my mind, Super Mario Brothers, the games that are on the Wii and they're on the Wii U and are now on the Switch, are kind of that reimagining of original Mario.
Are you talking about the new Super Mario?
Yeah, new
Brothers?
Super Mario Brothers. So to me that is that property, but this sits in a weird spot because it's kind of in between that graphic fidelity and the old school. And I don't know. I want to, no, don't get me wrong. I want to play this because it looks freaking fantastic. But, I just don't know how to completely feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I like about it is that it just shows you, and it's kind of like there's like a whole, like, I don't want to say subgenre. I don't know the right word to use, but it's not subgenre. It's maybe a new cult following for pixel 2D games that are in like 1080p high resolution pixel art. There's a game called the Moonlighter, which is like a 2D pixel art like Zelda clone. Mm-hmm. Which is a really, really good looking game. What was that other game I played? I can't remember the name of it. Dang. But I played another game. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like this. It's a 2D pixel, like great looking game. It plays in your browser. I'll see if I can find a link to that later. But in that vein, I think I would rather play this than something like New Super Mario Brothers that is like 2.5D or 3D with a 2D plane or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Simply
because of the aesthetics of it. And I mean the animation, the 2D animation here is so beautiful. You can tell a lot of love went into this game, and I'm just really excited. I hope Nintendo doesn't just make them kill it. I hope they like I said,
they're going to make him kill it.
Yes, they will, but hopefully they co-opt it instead of just saying don't do this,
Yeah. Well, it's just like just speaking of video games in general, in the Star Trek world, how they're doing the same thing. This guy did this awesome recreation of the Enterprise D, TNG era Enterprise. It was called Stage 9. And he had been working on this thing for years and years. And there were people like all across the globe working on it. And just like in the last month, they got the cease and desist from CBS/Paramount to take it down. And it's just sad, man.
So what was it?
It's something called Stage 9. I actually have it on my PC. It was meant to be a virtual recreation of the...
so you just walk around in it and they got a takedown?
They were eventually making a game out of it. So they had pretty much laid out the whole ship, but they were just starting to add game elements in. But yeah, and it could be, misconstrued as something close to, what's the Star Trek Bridge Crew that just came out, since VR is going to be a part of it. And, and there's also like another guy I know that's working on a Voyager game that like when this happened, he like changed all the assets, changed the name of the project. He's like, I'm just hoping, he doesn't get anything from any Star Trek lawyers. So I don't know, man. It's
like, this is what I don't understand. If you're going to release something sketchy, sketchy is the wrong word. If you're going to release something that might infringe on somebody's copyrights or does infringe on somebody's copyrights or might get a DMCA takedown notice, why don't you wait until it's done
drop it.
To announce it and then release it?
Well, some have done that. Some have done it and they got to take it down immediately too.
Once it's finishing on the internet, you can't delete it. It will still be available. People will still mirror it and post it. You won't be available from the original source anymore, but it would at least be out there.
Yeah. And maybe my problem is just like how intellectual property is handled in general, because I mean, even if you go beyond that, like look at fan recreations, whether it be a fan Jedi Star Wars movie or a fan Star Trek production, we see left and right where, once people have put so much into it, these labors of love, and then like, it's just gone because, like another like Star Trek Continues was a Star Trek fan recreation that was supposed to take place after the end of the original series and up until the movie. And they got, they had to end it because, they were told to take it down. And I'm like, as long as it's not infringing upon anything that is currently in production, I think it should be fine. But I guess companies do have the right to protect what's there. So it's always the gray area that you kind of have to live in.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of empathy is in order here. I mean, just think about if you release this awesome property and it was making tons of money for you, and then somebody tried to like release something related to it for free.
Oh, you mean like
or for pay?
You mean like Facebook putting all Snapchat's features in Instagram? That never happens.
Well, I mean intellectual property.
I feel you.
You can't copyright concepts or game genres. I'm looking at you, PUBG company.
Oh man, let's talk about that for a minute. You're all on the Call of Duty bandwagon, Black Ops 4, and man, isn't it just kind of amazing where we are in 2 years from PUBG just taking off and taking over the world to now where, you had Fortnite come in and take over. And now, people are all on board for the Call of Duty because people think it's done right now. So
yeah, it's almost, eventually actual developers were going to get their hands on this gameplay mechanic and actually do it right. And it just happened to be Treyarch.
Yeah.
Which used to be the redheaded stepchild of Call of Duty developers. But, like at some time in the past half decade, they started becoming better than Infinity Ward. And this is before the two guys left and formed Respawn. Like the Treyarch games, like the Black Ops games were the Treyarch games. And then the mainline games were being made by Infinity Ward, and the Treyarch games were whooping
Yeah.
So yeah, now like they have it down to a science. They've slowed down the TDK on Call of Duty, period, like in general. So now it's not just like boop 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 dead. You can still get one shotted by like sniper rifles, but it takes longer to kill somebody with like a machine assault rifle. Even with a DMR or something, the one shot that shoots as fast as you can pull the trigger. Like even with those, it takes longer to actually kill somebody. And you know there's the multiplayer, which is still fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And now you have the blackout mode, which is it just like I just want to know how the PUBG developer guys felt when they play this, because you know they played it.
Man.
They play this and it's like what do you like? I just want I would pay to be a fly in that room. Were they like chucking controllers across the room like
so
were they
Varys mentioned in the chat that he plays PUBG every day.
I used to.
So you mentioned that fly on the wall thing from the people at that made PUBG. You know, I wonder, is it the fact that Microsoft bought them is kind of what isn't it? I don't know. I just think they got one up. I just think Call of Duty came in and did something way better. And can you talk about a little bit like what is the huge difference between the two to you? Besides, we know the graphical fidelity is way better, buttery smooth. But are there other things that make it better than PUBG?
Okay, so here's a Dice Junkies reference here. Shooting in PUBG is like rolling a D12. You might hit what you're aiming at. You might not. They just recently added to where you could hurdle over fences. It took them.
That was a huge thing.
That was a huge update. It took
you can
them
vault now.
It took them like 3 years to like add that.
You were hardcore, dude. You were freaking hardcore PUBG.
I loved PUBG. I played it all the time. I have a couple friends, me, Jesse Backstrom, Jesse Spears. Not Jesse Spears. Yeah, Jesse Spears. We would all play together all the time. And the game was just always buggy. Like that's the thing. It was fun. Like that's why I played PUBG. It wasn't because it was greatly developed or highly optimized. It was just fun to drop in with 100 people. The gameplay mechanic was the selling point of PUBG, which is their problem. It's just so buggy. It's a buggy mess. And playing something like Call of Duty where you have a consistent frame rate, the vehicles actually control like vehicles. You don't parachute from as high. So the other thing is in PUBG which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you could see where other people were going, and if you saw somebody going where you were going, you could kind of go the other way if you didn't want to fight them. Now, like you're so close to the ground that you don't see people until you're about to land, really, that are in your area, which is kind of a good thing because I don't know the way to put it. You start shooting people quicker. I don't know the right term for that.
Yeah.
PUBG was $29. I paid $29 for it.
Yeah, I think that's what I paid.
And I don't regret buying it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, PUBG for what it is cool, but it's just like, I'm trying to think of a apt comparison. You know those little ice cream cups you used to get at school? Like the little ice cream cups with the paper lid on it and the little wooden little
those
stick.
Are great.
Like those were awesome. But then like you try Bluebell ice cream and it's like it doesn't invalidate that little ice cream cup, but it's like if you give me a choice, you put them both down in front of me, I'm gonna take the Bluebell every time. And that's just kind of how I feel about PUBG now. It's if I have 20 minutes to shoot people, I'm gonna play Call of Duty, and I haven't touched PUBG.
Big words.
I haven't touched PUBG since I got Call of Duty 4 or Black Ops 4.
Wow. So what do you
think? I have it on a console, which should also tell you
that should tell you a lot.
Like, that should tell you a whole lot. Like I wouldn't even try playing PUBG on a console, even the X, the One X. So yeah.
So what do you think about the addition of NPCs a la Titanfall in the Blackout mode?
I don't really have a problem with it because sometimes you get kind of bored. There's zombies there as well. Sometimes sometimes you could go a whole round without seeing anybody really until the end. So to give people some form of like fighting or action before the big showdown at the end where the circle's like this big, like I'm all for that. I don't really have a problem with it, honestly.
Sweet. So what you're telling me is I have to get Call of Duty now.
Well, as a person who hasn't really seriously played a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare, the first Call of Duty 4, I've been checking in on them here and there. I'll play them, and it's like But this one, I feel like is a. And the other thing is, there's no single player.
Single player. Yeah.
I'm like hyping a game that does not have a single player, but that's just how fun the multiplayer is. Like if this game had a single player mode, I probably wouldn't have played it anyway, to be honest with you. So there you go. Buy it. Wait for the Black Friday sale or whatever, but it's definitely worth checking out, man. Especially if you love PUBG. And like that's the funny thing. Like if you like PUBG, you'll come for Blackout. You'll stay for the multiplayer, like the regular Call of Duty multiplayer. Like it's so because like playing the battle royale modes, like they're stressful. Like they stress you because it's like I don't want to die because I'm gonna have to start the game back over, and it adds weight to dying. So after you stress yourself out with Blackout, you can go have some fun with the regular team deathmatch or whatever. So it's perfect. You get a change of pace. And there's zombies mode, which I've never played and I don't really care for. I'll probably try it eventually. But yeah, man, I'm down. I like it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I guess we're ready to... No, man, all great stuff. All great stuff. I think we're ready to wrap.
I'm hip. I'm down. I'm with it.
So I'll say, first of all, thanks for everybody joining in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
That's awesome. And Kary, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we plug podcast related otherwise, before we get out of here?
I will say that I haven't played much of Red Dead Redemption 2, but the couple missions that I have played are really fun, and it's like you're playing a Western movie, not just like aesthetically that I'm a cowboy in like the Wild West right before like that era ended. Like all that's well and good, but like literally, at least on the 1X, it's in 4K and it looks beautiful.
Oh, wow.
It like seriously, if you handed me that controller and said it was hooked up to my computer, and I wouldn't question that it was running like it runs very well. The controls are a little stiff, but I mean it's all Rockstar Games controls are kind of stiff.
Yeah,
so
they're always weird. Yeah. Well, I'm waiting to play that because I freaking loved Red Dead Redemption. I played through it thoroughly, man. I love that game. So I can't wait to pick it up. So I have about $180 to spend on games over the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, this is fun too. 2K19, also another fun game. Sega Visual Concepts gets a lot of flack for the model where they encourage you to play by VC. But the cool thing about this game is your character doesn't suck. Like when you don't buy VC, your character's not horrible. You can still win games, and if you get the mechanics down, you can still play well and win, and it's fun. Story's good. You can download 2K19 Prelude for free, and that's pretty much the bulk of the story part anyway. And I'm telling you, it was. I had so much fun playing that, and the story was a lot of fun. You don't necessarily play sports games for the story, but I mean, just to give you a little primer, your character was a standout, or you were a standout college player who enters the draft like a year or two too early.
Uh-oh.
So you don't get drafted, and you have to go play in China.
Wow.
And the cool thing about this is, I don't want to spoil too much, but like the cool thing about it is when you're playing in China, the commentators are talking in Chinese. Like You can't understand what they're saying.
Wow.
And like your coach is talking in Chinese, you have a translator guy who tells you what the coach is saying. Like it's
pretty
so,
intense.
It's so cool. Like
That's intense.
even if you don't buy the game, download the Prelude, play through it. You won't regret it. It's a lot of fun.
Wow. Sweet. I will do.
It's free too. If you didn't know, I might have said that, but it's free. So check it out.
Yeah. And I'll just say, check out discussingnetwork.com for all of the podcasts I do, as well as go to Techpedition and make sure you're subscribing. If you're, watching us on Facebook or whatever, just make sure, or YouTube, make sure you're subscribing to the podcast so you can catch all those episodes. Yeah. All right, guys.
Check out. Did you say discussing?
I just said Discussing Network, which has it all. But me and Kary are on our Star Trek podcast, which is called Discussing Trek, which you can find at discussingtrek.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks you guys for sticking with us. We'll be back next week.
Peace.
Very, very quick. Expedition. Very, very quick. Expedition. Very, very quick. Expedition. Very, very quick. Expedition.
I can't beat that. I just smells burnt and dusty.
Hey guys, don't miss an episode of the Techpedition Podcast. For more information, go to techpedition.com/subscribe. TECHPEDITION.com.